Veterans Table Talk. My name is Luann. I'm a 22-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, and I'll introduce you to Jose.
Hi guys, I'm Jose and I served for 13 years.
Tonight we have a very special guest, Chara. She's a 15-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces as well. She worked in administration and finance, the same as I did. So welcome
Also
to the
known
show.
as clerk.
Yeah, also known as clerk. Big discussion about that. Welcome to the show, Chara.
Well, thanks for having me.
That's no problem. So, our show is basically just going through your story of your life, your before, during, and after service. So, I guess we'll just sort of jump right in here. But for our listeners at home, just so you're aware, if is this your first time listening, we do pre-record our episodes for quality and to make sure that the sound quality is good before we put it out to the public. So, Chara, to start things off, tell us about your childhood a little bit.
I am the daughter of two ministers. So my parents also did some missionary work. So we lived far north in northern Ontario on a fly-in reserve.
Okay.
So I spent a long time there for years. And then we shortly moved to Nova Scotia. And so my dad works in the prison system, so we moved around to different prisons as opposed to a military brat moving around to different bases.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Later ending up in Ontario, where a lot of my extended family are from, I ended up in Kingston, where I first joined the reserves.
Okay, so you joined the reserves in what year now? 2007?
2007.
Right. And you went in directly as the old trade resource management support clerk, as Jose pointed out.
I actually initially joined as an infantier because I didn't understand that there were such thing as trades.
Oh no.
So you fell for it. You fell
I
for it. You're only
certainly did.
qualified for infantry. You don't qualify for any other trade but infantry. So here you go.
Oh, it's not even qualifying. I didn't even know they existed.
How did that happen? You just went to the recruiting center?
Yes.
And they said, here you go, infantry to a girl?
Yep.
Wow.
Well, you didn't do the aptitude test? They didn't do any of that?
I did the aptitude test. I didn't get talked to about any scores or what it means. I just thought, hey, I'm smart enough to be in the military.
Wow. Oh my goodness. How old were you again?
I was 17.
No way. And your parents signed off on that?
I imagine they would have.
They had to have.
Yeah.
Anybody under 18 had to have guardian or parental consent.
Yeah.
Your parents must have freaked out.
Not really.
No.
Nope.
That's kind of funny. So, wow, then basic training looked a little different for you, I would say.
I did my basic, and on my basic was a clerk or another RMS clerk anyway.
Right. Yeah.
And then I learned that something existed other than infantry. So shortly after, I switched.
Did you do your basic training in Saint Jean?
No, Kingston.
Okay.
Yeah, because the reserves they do it in-house at the units themselves. So was it the full-time summer or just the weekends?
It was the weekends over winter and spring.
Okay.
Oh, that's gotta be good. I would have liked to do my basic like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the best kept secret, really, for teenagers, for job opportunities, in the sense that they can still go to school, earn some money on Thursday nights and weekends. They can get through university and have it paid for somewhat. And And then if you want to make a career out of it, you just jump over and you don't have to redo all of that. So it's a
Yeah,
great opportunity. I worked with reserves, like I've said before, for 10 years as reg force. So yeah, it's a good show.
So
it
after
is.
your basic training, where did you go?
I stayed in Kingston and got my trades courses every summer.
But then you changed to clerk while in basic.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I think it ended up going through during my SQ.
Okay. You had to write a nice memo.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the audience, SQ is your soldier
Uh,
qualification, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Hmm. Okay, so you got through your basic, you got through all of that. You changed your trade to an administrative role, and then you went to Borden, I assume, for your
I,
training for that, right?
I did, yeah, for I think a couple summers in a row anyway.
Yeah,
And
yeah, because you
then
have to spread
about
it out.
the actual last day of my QL5 trades course, my RSM called me and asked if I wanted to go on tour. So, of course, I did.
Oh, well, of course.
I hadn't even made it
So,
home yet, and he called me asking if I was interested.
wow.
Wow. And where was your tour?
It was in Kabul, Afghanistan in 2012.
Wow. How did you feel about going there?
I was pretty excited to go.
You weren't scared?
I didn't really get any kind of feelings about it until closer to flyout day.
Yeah, I guess you don't really think about it till it comes down to the crunch.
You're
Yeah.
just like, yes, I get a deployment. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
one thing that I regret in my whole career is not going on one deployment. I would have been ready now. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess, well, they keep you so busy getting ready to go that you don't really have time to think because the
Oh yeah,
paperwork
your days
involved
are
is,
packed.
yeah, your days are packed getting trained. Well, and then you would have had to do pre-deployment training. Am I right on that?
I did, yeah.
And what does
Yeah,
that
wouldn't you?
look like for the audience? What does a pre-deployment training do?
It's supposed to prepare you in a number of ways, mentally, physically, emotionally.
How long does
And
that last?
mine was about 6 months.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's normal. So there's a varying degree of if I'm thinking back years now for so there's different training depending on who you're going in support of. So for NATO, there's different pre-deployment training compared to a UN tour, which is mission specific training, and that takes place at the Peace Training Center in Kingston. And then for your tour, that was NATO as well, wouldn't it have been?
Yeah,
Yeah. So there would have been things like mental readiness, the road to mental readiness, where it gives you the phases of your tour and what to expect for your mental state, chronic stress, the ups and downs, at what point, and it's pretty true to what they tell you actually while you're gone. Did you find that or?
I did. Yeah, they do paint quite a accurate picture of what to expect.
So how long were you leaving for? Do they tell you?
They do. Yeah, mine was supposed to be a 9 month tour.
9-month tour. So you get to Afghanistan, and how old are you then?
Hmm, 21,
And
maybe?
you no kids?
None. Nope.
No, and then no. What about a husband or a boyfriend at the time?
Well, I started pre-deployment training with a boyfriend, and then quickly it was nothing serious. And then I ended up meeting my now husband on our
On
workout
pre
training.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Love story?
Love story.
Yep.
And he was from Kingston too, or no?
No, he was from Gagetown.
Okay. So is it like love at first sight or?
Yeah. Super quick, like immediately we're
Yeah.
gonna get married. Yeah.
Wow.
He's the one you knew, eh?
Sorry, say again?
I said he was the one you just knew it.
Oh yeah.
And then you guys both end up going to not to Kuwait, to Afghanistan.
Yep.
So how was that?
It was okay. We were on the same camp, which was nice to kind of have each other for that, but it ended up wrecking our tour.
Uh-oh, guys, if everybody listening, when you're on tour, you're not supposed to be fraternization, right?
That's right. That is correct.
So I actually pulled up for people that aren't aware of what fraternization actually is. In the military, in the department administrative orders or departmental DAODs they're called. Fraternization definition: any relationship between a CAF member and a person from an enemy or belligerent force, or a CAF member, a belligerent force, what the heck is that? Or a CAF member and a local inhabitant within the theater of operations where CAF members are deployed. And then that's what fraternization is. And then personal relationship is an emotional, romantic, sexual, or family relationship, including marriage, common law partnership. In other words, bad while you're on tour. Not
Yep.
good.
But
Not
like you
good.
said, your moral was super high and you were excited and it was all lovey-dovey. That's like the best tour ever. You found your husband.
I did, yeah.
And then you guys came back, and then what happened?
Well, they came back, but did they charge you?
They did actually.
Both of you?
Yeah. My roommate put in a formal complaint against me, and they had to investigate, and we had a summary trial and the whole bit.
Together or not together?
One after each other. They have to do them individual charges.
Of course.
You had to do the no hat dance.
I sure did.
Is that like the NI 129 charge?
And NDI? No,
the
not the NDA.
1.29 or whatever, something like that. The goods
129.
Yeah, I think so.
So they put everything in there. Everything. Fucking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, there's probably a charge under fraternization, and then they probably threw the 129 in there just to catch it in case you got found not guilty on fraternization. Because that's what happens.
We both got them both.
How much did that cost you? $100?
Jeepers. I think it was closer to 4 or 5, maybe.
Each.
Yeah, the powers of punishment with the CO on that would be a little bit less stringent than if it was a more serious charge. So that sounds about right. $400.
Yeah.
I've seen it before.
Imagine your wedding ring with $800 more.
Yeah, but they were in Afghanistan. You probably got it cheap over there.
My husband actually got charged less financially, but got a bunch of extras added on as well.
Oh no. Oh,
okay.
God. And then you came back and you came back, got married, had a few kids.
Yeah, so we ended up getting repatriated back early because our charges made them lose confidence in us. Is their stated reason.
All right, well, that could be debatable, but really, summary trials are like kangaroo courts where you're guilty until proven innocent, right?
And then
100%.
And then it took like a year before you got to summary court, right?
No, not at all. It was all done within a couple weeks in theater.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Wow.
No, they're quick. They're quick. Like I said, the summary trials are like kangaroo courts. You're guilty until you're proven innocent. So you go in with the burden of guilt before they even try you, because they know you're guilty. right? So it's just basically to walk in, get peer reviewed, so everybody's watching while you're doing this. It's a shame thing, basically.
Oh,
It's
and
the walk of shame.
you didn't say
Ours
what
was
your
closed.
husband was. What trade your husband is.
He's infantry.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had a closed summary trial.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
nobody
Now
got to watch.
normally the ones I've seen is everybody's got to go watch because it's like a
Yeah,
walk of it's like the walk of shame, right?
yeah.
So then after Afghanistan, how long were you there finally?
6 months.
6 months. Did you get a medal?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, that's cool. So you came back and then you guys got married and then where were you living after that?
Yeah, so when we got back, I had to fly back to Kingston. And then within a week, I think it was, I had moved to Fredericton with him.
Yeah, because as a reservist, you're not. You can go wherever you want. You just transfer your units. You're a little more free to move around than somebody in the reg force. So
Oh, that's
that worked
cool.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the appeal to me because you can get 3-year-long contracts and choose where you live and leave when you want. It's pretty good.
exactly. Yeah, I called it the 30-second rule. 30
And
second the 30-30, is it the 30-30? 30 seconds to piss me off, 30 seconds to find a new job, right?
yeah, yeah.
You're basically your own career manager, so you look after where you live, where you work, how long you want your contract, it is a good deal, but it's not very stable.
Oh, that's right. There isn't always contracts available, but luckily in the trade that I was in, they're in need
Oh,
everywhere.
Right.
oh yeah, so
Yeah.
you picked the right trade. You did the right thing moving over to that trade as far as staying working anyway.
So now how many
100%.
kids do you have now?
6. 6
Six
kids.
kids.
What?
So
Oh, you've been busy beavers.
my husband had 2 kids previous to me. They were 1 and 3 at the time when
Okay.
we got together. So 2 to start with, an instant mom of 2,
Wow.
and then 4 shortly after.
And do they all live with you now, or
Yeah.
Wow.
holy
So
busy girl?
do you want to tell the people what happened, why you got out?
Well, CDS Directive 002 comes out
Which
last
is
October, I think it was. And then mandating the COVID vaccines. So instantly I was like, nope, absolutely not. So I got all my paperwork together to request a religious exemption. My husband did the same at his unit as well. I was very quickly, even before my paperwork was submitted, told, well, you attend a non-denominational church, you're never going to get approved for a religious exemption. So immediately things started off terribly.
Yeah.
So for months, I was told that I would the following month be out of work and I would have no money, no income, no career, nothing. So that in itself is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then the final paperwork had to be due in December. So I take my Christmas leave. Before Christmas leave, the last day of work, I'm told that my accommodation paperwork was denied and that they're going to start the process and put me on remedial measures as discipline.
So can I just back up and I just to
Yeah.
explore a little bit more when that directive came out and you said nope right away, what was your sort of determining factors that caused you to say that that wasn't something you were going to do?
Yeah. So it was a pretty easy decision for me because one, they were made from aborted fetal cells, and I'm not for that in any way.
Right.
Um, They were made, my mom explains it a lot better, but what they're made of is toxic to your body. So I'm destroying my temple by doing that. Nope.
Right. Yeah.
It came out so fast and
Yeah.
it's forced that it's clearly not good.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question that all the people that are gonna ask? You're military. Why
Yeah.
are you scared of this one? We've been inoculated many, many
Yeah.
times.
I get that often. I've
I
had a
know.
million shots, and what's different about this one? There's
Yep.
a lot
Yep.
different about this one. It's new technology. Its components are different. The way it works with your body is different. And by the time the mandates came out, it was already clear that it only did bad. It wasn't helping.
Right.
Right.
Yes, because
So
it wasn't till 2020 the actual CDS put out that directive, correct?
Yes.
I believe,
By
yeah.
then, yeah, because I got out just before that. So that wasn't I was getting out anyways medically. So
Yeah.
thankfully it wasn't a decision I had to make to choose my career or, my health or my
Yeah.
Yeah.
potential health, And I mean, we've all been stuck more times than a guinea pig, for God's sake, in the military. I mean, I can't even remember the number of, needles I've had over the years. So, and mefloquine is always on people's mind. If you know the history of the mefloquine and the mass tort case that's going on now with regards to the soldiers that were forced to take the mefloquine as their anti-malarial, well, how's that working out? So people that were cognizant of that were, I can understand why they were leery. And from a religious standpoint, what you're saying, I understand that as well.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to really absorb in a short time to try and make that decision. And I can't imagine some of the conflict that people had
But
in doing so.
people have to understand too that, remember, her husband is also in the military, and maybe you want to tell them what happened with your husband.
Well, that's just right. The both of us for a long time were thinking, great, you and I are both going to be out of work. How do
Yeah,
we support 6 kids and his parents who lived with us? You can't support a household of 10 on no income.
no.
So my husband's request for religious accommodation was approved,
Uh-oh.
So that is clearly,
That's suspicious.
well,
right?
I don't know, suspicious, or is it just
It's odd.
it? It's
It's
it.
not fair.
It's to me, it just left it far too open for interpretation at the commanding officers' levels, obviously, because one of them said no and one of them said yet. Two different units. I mean, it wasn't gender or rank that came into play there, from what I can determine. So it
So
was it was totally subjective.
as far as my CO is concerned, um he was new to our unit, pretty fresh. Previous to him, when I first got my job, the CO at the time made an agreement with me for an alternate working schedule because I couldn't afford to put my kids in daycare that weren't in school if I were to work, or I wouldn't work. So he decided to give me an alternate working schedule. I come in earlier and I leave a little bit earlier.
Right.
Done. So the new CO comes and he doesn't like this agreement. So they're making me try and jump through hoops, memos and letters asking and telling what the deal is and wondering when it's going to stop. So already there was some friction.
Right.
Right.
Then the vaccine rollout comes, and my CO is actually super pro vax and on the rollout for op vector, distributing the vaccines. There were so many biases
Did you
to
say
him
op
making
vector? Was there an
op.
Yeah.
operation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Operation
the first
Vector.
time I hear this in my life.
Oh no, that's
Oh
that's
shit.
common. That's common knowledge. Yeah. Operation Vector. Yeah.
Okay.
So there were a lot of bias factors, I believe, to mine being denied from my CO. Because there are standards that you have to meet to get your religious accommodation approved. Your belief has to be sincere and deeply held. And you have to prove that, basically, which in itself is ridiculous. But
Right.
Yeah.
But
besides the point.
I have seen chaplains who have done podcasts about how the chaplaincy branch changed the way that even the chaplains were allowed to deal with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they even changed the whole what do you call it, structure of how they're allowed to even allow an accommodation from what it
100%.
was normally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and Jose had an experience where you couldn't even go to the ombudsman.
Yes, I called the
Some
ombudsman as well, and they said it really wasn't their field of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I was like, who the hell am I supposed to call if I can't call and complain to the ombudsman? It was weird. It was weird. Same thing. I asked
Yeah.
for religious / human rights accommodation, and although my padre knew that I was very spiritual, I wasn't necessarily. I know he couldn't approve it. He knows where my spirit was. I went many times crying to him, saying like, "Why is God doing this?" Blah blah. And I knew it was out of his hands, even though he knew
Yeah.
that I was right. It was
Yeah,
very weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
the chaplains and padres were wrapped up in all of that
Yeah.
that craziness at that time as well, from what I understand. So it doesn't surprise me that. But what gets me is that each CO had that sort of subjective discretion, regardless of all the other things that went around. There doesn't seem to be a standard that was held
No.
from one CO to the next.
And
No.
then tell everybody in April who we saw. We saw each other in April at Rolling Thunder.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
I finally got to make it to Ottawa. I missed the winter. I couldn't make it, but I finally made it come April.
Yeah.
Yay.
So this happened in December, that you got denied just before Christmas.
Yep.
Did your husband know at this point as well the decision, or had he gotten his decision by then?
His decision didn't get returned until January.
Okay,
So
so
he went over Christmas break not knowing what was going on
not
for him.
that must have caused some stress, eh?
It is stressful. The unknown is stressful.
Yeah,
All of it. And nothing that were provided gave solid timelines.
right.
So we never knew what was coming next.
Yeah. So you got through Christmas. January rolls around. His gets approved. What happens
Yeah.
to you at this point? Were you put on the administrative
I,
remedial measures?
I was put on remedial measures right before Christmas.
Okay.
And then my monitoring period to see if I had changed my mind come January. So we reconvene come January and let them know, like, hey, my jeepers, my husband's was just my husband's was just approved. Our applications were next to identical, and
Yeah.
somehow his meets the requirements and mine doesn't. And they said, oh, well, that's irregardless. The decision's been made. Have you
Oh my
changed your mind,
goodness.
or do we move to the next step? I said,
And
no.
they only gave you over Christmas? I thought you had, like, I thought there was a minimum
There's
time.
supposed to be a minimum amount of time between monitoring
Yes.
periods, but
Yeah.
due to the circumstances, that was
E-
substantially divided. Like the monitoring period, I believe, went from approximately 4 months to a couple weeks.
Yeah. Mine was like
Oh,
a month and then a month and then a month and then it was like, you're out.
yeah, because usually that administrative period is quite long, so that you have time to
Correct your
correct
deficiency. Yeah.
correct your deficiency. Exactly. And what exactly was it they stated your deficiency was?
Sorry, say that again.
What was it? What did they state your deficiency was for the administrative measures? Like, what was it that you were lacking?
Wasn't it like
Um,
following an
Was it a
order?
performance issue, or was it it's performance and what else? There's two.
performance and jeepers, I
I can't.
can't.
I can't remember the other one, but so do you remember the wording, like what it was they said that you were deficient in, that you needed to correct?
I don't remember how it was worded, but it was definitely for not obeying an order to do this, and it's fully under my ability to do it.
So, okay, so we're before Christmas, you get your decision, you get put on remedial measures, you go back to work in January, your husband's has been approved, your remedial measures are extended again to the next level. So it starts off with a recorded warning, and then you went straight to CMP, or did they give the
Straight
in
to
between stuff?
CMP.
So straight to counseling and probation. And how long did that last?
Oh, it couldn't have been very long either about that. Maybe a month.
Okay. So now we're in February. We're in
The
February at this point. February, March.
CMP, maybe March-ish.
March. Okay. And so after that, um, nothing's changed, and now you're told, okay, we're releasing you. So your file had to go up to the Directorate of Career Management
DMCA.
Yeah.
DMCA, yeah, Directorate of Career Management and whatever. And that took how long? Do you know?
Before DIMCA made a decision?
Yeah, like how long was your file up there before they
Oh,
came back and said you're done?
maybe a month.
So we're talking start to finish from the rollout from October to April. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, come April, the CO then had to submit to me a notice of intent to
Yeah,
request release. So
right,
then Ottawa makes a decision about that, and then yes,
right.
they do a whole. So they actually, before they make their decision, they do a audit of your entire career, basically. But
Right.
in COVID's case, they would not take any past instances into account. It was only surrounding the time frame of the vaccine.
Okay.
So
So,
I wanted to submit a character reference, for instance, and
yeah.
they said, no, you can't have a character reference because your past history in the CAF doesn't matter.
And so you had no chance to grieve any of this through
I
the grievance
submitted
system?
grievances. I did. I submitted a grievance against the denial to my accommodation, and I submitted a grievance for the decision to release me.
Okay.
Mm.
And that obviously didn't go anywhere.
Well, I actually haven't even heard back from the grievance authority because it goes to different levels. So the
Yeah.
first level, they deny you. So it goes a little higher, and then
Yeah.
they deny you. And then it goes up to the CDS
Yeah.
as final authority. And
Well,
so that,
if they can't find the person, like, so they have to assign an investigative person that's, try to solve it at the lowest level. So if you hadn't done that, I don't know, like, if you checked in to see where it is, you should have had a case number, right?
yeah. So my first one, uh, actually, yeah, my first one is actually still at the final authority.
Okay. Well, that kind of
And
makes sense because I imagine he's got lots of them to look through.
No,
yes,
there's
it
only
certainly would.
298, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And
sitting up
then,
there still.
yeah, I still don't even have an answer on my second grievance.
No.
But I've also had to grieve the fact that when I did get released, they refused to pay out my leave.
Huh?
Wow.
So they forced me on leave for my very last week of
Oh, yes.
my career. And
Yeah,
then
that's not new though. That changed quite a few years ago, actually. I can't remember the year it changed, but I do remember that changing where you can't cash out your leave. You have
no,
to
it
take it.
says in your release message that
Mhm.
your leave payout for your retirement leave will be paid out directly following your release. And that was in my
That's
message as well.
Yeah, I think that's if you had the old system of accrued or accumulated leave left. There's not many of them left. I think that only applied to them. So everybody else, like I had to take all my leave too. I wasn't allowed to cash it out either. I had to go on leave. Yeah. It did change. It was like a separate friggin' thing that came out.
So when was your last day officially?
July 28th.
July 28th. Okay. And so then after, of course, you apply for unemployment.
Yes. And then 2 months go by, still haven't received a decision or a cent of money from them. And I finally just got in touch with them last week that they were going to approve my EI.
Yay! Yeah. I'm so happy.
That's good. So were you Reg Force at this point? I can't remember if we said you'd switched over or you were
No,
still reserve.
I was reserves the entire time.
Reserves the
Mostly
entire
3-year
time.
contracts back to back everywhere, but yeah.
Right.
So now you're out, and now did you find a new job?
I did. For now anyway, I'm working at the emergency room.
Go figure.
Right?
Still
I
unvaccinated. Still unvaccinated.
That's right.
Okay, that blows my mind.
Yeah. And then when people there ask me why I'm not in the military anymore, I tell them, "Oh, it's because I won't get vaccinated." And they're like, "Oh, they fired so many for that very reason, and here you are now."
Yep.
And they won't bring them back and they won't take you back. So it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
That there's no logic behind this at all. It's just so illogical and unstandardized and willy-nilly and contradictory. It defies my sense of common sense and logic. It really does.
And
So
it's such a temporary order to be making life-altering
That's right.
decisions about somebody's career.
Yes, exactly.
So Chara, please tell me, did you go shopping for new clothes, or are you still wearing your Lulus?
Oh, jeepers. I had to get new clothes. I have to wear business casual, they call it.
Yay.
All
Wait
my
till you
life,
get your EI.
all my life, I spend every day in either a combat uniform or PT clothes. So I got to dress like a real grown-up now.
I know. I look through my closet and wonder, oh my gosh, what would I ever have to do? Like
Hard
what could
decisions now every day. What am I gonna wear? I mean, that's one good thing about the military uniform. You don't have to think about it. Put your hair in a ponytail and leave.
Right?
It's like wearing your pajamas to work,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's why I chose the Army, because the combats were so much easier to take care of as opposed to Air Force and Navy, because of the didn't have to iron them, didn't have to do anything. You just throw them in the dryer, get the wrinkles out, slap them on, you're good to go.
So what are your plans for the future now?
Well, I don't really know. I don't think I'm going to get to keep my hospital job because I'm not getting any other vaccines that I used to get either. So they want me to be up to date on my regular vaccinations.
Okay, so back up here. So, okay, let me get this straight. So, you've been getting all of your vaccines all through your life. You get all your immunizations. while in the military. This one comes along, and you have a religious opposition to it based
Yep.
on your own religious beliefs. And so everything changes in your life. It's thrown into upheaval. You've got a new job now that requires you to get shots. I'm assuming because you're working in the hospital. But
Yep.
now, what all of this stuff that you got up until now and didn't question, this whole thing has changed your attitude on any vaccinations whatsoever. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing here?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, that just
I
blows my mind too.
this not only is this vaccine wrong in so many ways, but the way the government has exposed their corruption throughout this situation, it
Right,
shows that everything that they've been doing up until now is wrong.
right,
I see it all now. I see big
right.
pharma. I see them keeping us sick. I see
Yes.
all of it.
I
Yeah.
can't disagree with you on that. I've actually stopped taking my medications since this all started.
I did as
Realizing,
well.
yeah, I realizing how um, the good did not outweigh the bad that was happening to me on the meds that I was. And
Yeah.
so now I'm trying, and now it's changed my life probably for the better because of it. Um, I'm now looking for alternatives. I've gone through the Veterans Farmer, and I'm on CBDs now as opposed to chemical stimulants and stuff that they were
Yes.
giving me. So I've changed to more natural type medications to help deal with my issues. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on that with the big pharma thing. If you ever get a chance, watch that series Dope Sick, it's called.
I think
And
I did watch that. Yeah.
yeah, that's about the opioid crisis and the
Yes.
big pharma company that was sued over that. I can't remember the name of it. It's an actual story. It's a true story.
Yeah.
But if you don't see the similarities between that and the way the vaccine was rolled out here, even if you agree or don't agree with taking it or not taking it, I don't care. You should be concerned about the way it was presented, rolled out. Um, it's very similar to that case in the States about opioids. And that's what sort of dinged me as well.
Yeah.
There's something not right there, right? So, I mean, Big Pharma made billions on this and they're still making more. So, well, it's quite the conversation. My goodness. So you and the kids are all doing well. You're working, even if it's just temporary for now. If they ever came back to you, if anything ever changed, and they ever came back to you and asked you and offered you your job, um, all of your benefits back, like if they erased everything that happened, would you go back?
Honestly, I don't think I could. I was treated horribly. I was banned and shunned from my unit for months. I was ridiculed and mocked and laughed at for being unvaccinated. I don't, I mean, already previous to this situation, I struggled a lot with my mental health,
Yeah,
and this exasperated it 1,000%.
for sure. Well,
Amen.
coming up,
I second that because I
well,
feel the exact same way. I would never go back.
yeah. So coming back from Afghanistan, I'm sure you probably experienced some trouble while you were over there. So imagine just dealing with that was enough. Then all of this sort of came on the heels of it.
Yeah.
Not really on the heels of it, but if you're already trying to deal with that, then this isn't helping. I could imagine.
Pile it on, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
pile it on.
a, f- a while before my release date, I actually went to the base hospital for sick parade, telling them, just completely break down tears. I'm sobbing and I tell them I'm having suicidal thoughts. I can't deal with this. And each time I would go and tell them this, they would send me home with a day off and say, don't think about it. That's all.
I don't know what to say to that.
There's nothing you can say for that.
No. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's the military for you. Right there, folks.
Yeah. Use you up and spit you out.
That's what the military has come to. And that's sad.
I
Very sad.
used to be so proud to
Yeah.
be a part of it and be willing to sacrifice everything for it.
Yeah. They've really broken the trust of the public too, I'd say.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like, yeah, they're having a hard time getting people in because who wants to deal with that? And then let's face it, now you've got VAC employees offering veterans medical assistance in dying when they call in for help for PTSD. And
Yeah.
who's going to want to join if at the end of your career, you make it through all of this, you come home, you make it through war, you make it through a deployment, you come home and you're having mental health issues, and then they offer you a way to die peacefully, assisted dying. Why the hell would you ever want to join? If they don't kill you over there, the VAC will offer to kill you here. Like, basically, that's as harsh as it gets in words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It blows my mind.
But yet we have really good courses on how to help people with mental health issues in the military. We have Sentinel programs. We have a whole bunch of programs for everything. But when it really happens, no one's ever there to help you.
It's
No.
because it's all show.
Yeah,
They need to
100%.
look good to the public.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
Because if you look it up for mental health services within the military, you have 2 pages of them.
100%.
And I know from going through the system, none of that is ever made known to you. You have to look it up. None of that is ever like they don't do anything to help you. They shove pills at you and they send you home, like you said. Take a Valium, go home, don't think about it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Chara, aren't you happy now? You're free.
Some days and other days it's hard. Being a civvy is a lot different.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
I
have
don't know
to,
if I could do civvy world, man. I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah. See,
yeah.
that's where I had the advantage. I did a lot of work before I joined. I was older, so I knew what it was like out there. I was like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah.
You don't realize, I didn't do any secondary school, so I'm uneducated. I have minimal work experience, and here they are paying me this really decent wage. I've got great leave, great benefits. I don't have to work near as long when I'm not in the field or on tour.
Right.
It's
So
a
maybe
good go, but to get that on
this
civvy side, not.
Yeah.
That's how they get us, I think, though, because we know.
Oh yeah.
We have a little extra privilege, right? So like we know.
That's exactly it. That's how they suck you in. It's like the mafia.
Yeah.
It is. It's like the mafia.
Yeah.
You know, they dangle that carrot. So when you get in, you have to do 5 years. But at the 4-year mark, you're getting your raise and your corporals and big boost. And then then I got to make the decision: do I stay? After for the 5 years, and then you're like, and then they
I'm halfway done, man. I just gotta suffer a little bit more. Come on,
right?
it's okay.
Well, by 4 years rolls around, you're making big bucks, right?
Yeah.
And then they give you your appointment to Master Corporal, so now you get the little bit of power that comes, the authority.
The $40 more on your pay. For
the $40 more.
Yeah.
You don't care about the Master Corporal. You want the sergeant because that's the fucking 300 more.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The next step, you're just about there to sergeant, and you're like, oh, I got to push, right?
Yeah.
And then the the sergeant's hit, and then the big pay raise comes, and then you're like, oh, this is good. And there's a big difference between a master
Yep.
corporal and a sergeant, the way you're treated, because now you're a senior NCO, you're given a lot more respect, and it comes with the position and the rank, right? So
What
yeah, they
rank did
snuck
you
me
go
in.
to, Chara? Chara?
I was a master corporal, but I was
Okay.
loaded on my sergeant's course
Ah,
right before the policy came out.
darn.
Wow.
Yeah, they even before the policy came out, it was like a month or two before the deadline of like request for exemptions or whatever. It was October, and they took me off of course preemptively before the policy even came out.
Wow.
Holy crap.
So I was
But I
this
believe
close to getting my
well,
sergeant's.
I think they had canceled all training at that point anyway, hadn't they?
No, it was back to
No?
training. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
on.
That sucks.
Wow.
Well, all things happen for a reason. I believe that you may not have that, you may not see that yet. I don't know. I can't speak for you. But I'm pretty sure that good things are going to come to you. You're a good person. You're a loving mother, a loving wife. We appreciate your service as well. Thanks for joining us, Chara. We really appreciate you coming on and telling us your story today.
Yeah, thank you.
So, everybody, we'll wrap it up for today. We'll see you next time on Veterans Table Talk, and we're going to head back outside the wire. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.